Hi everybody, welcome back to Jason Morgan Wildlife Art. Today I'd like to show you how I make these very simple glass palettes. And the real beauty of them is that you can tone the palette any colour and any tone that you want. And this can then match the tonal underpainting on your painting. And that makes colour selection and colour mixing much easier than when you pick, for instance, a pure white palette. Only takes about 10 minutes, so let's start making one right now. Okay, I don't need much in the line of tools or supplies to make a glass palette. I've just got a piece of glass that I've taken from a frameless frame, so the edges have already been sanded off and smoothed. There's nothing sharp, and it's a tempered glass, so it won't break easily. I've just got a real cheap piece of standard canvas underneath, which I'm going to tone. I've got a little roll of double-sided tape, which I'm going to use to stick the canvas to the glass. Just a household brush, a small bowl of water just so I can thin the acrylic, a bowl for the acrylic, and just a Stanley knife or a sharp blade so that I can trim the edges later on. Okay, let's get started. So first I want to actually tone the canvas, and that's the main reason for using these glass palettes at all. Just so that the actual tone of the palette matches or is really very close to the tone of the underpainting, and that will allow me to much more easily match my paints when I'm mixing and doing my paintings on the canvas. If you're using a pure white canvas or palette like this, it's very difficult then to actually get your colours right, because you're mixing on a palette that's usually white, and then you've got a toned canvas which is normally this burnt sienna colour, and so it's difficult sometimes to actually judge your colours correctly. And you can see I'm just scrubbing on the paint just like I would toning the canvas. It's exactly the same process, nothing different at all. I'm not being careful or very particular. As long as it's large enough to be larger than the glass palette to go on top, because I'm going to trim this down. That's all I'm concerned about. Okay, I'll just use some horizontal strokes just to make that a little bit more even and uniform. And that's it, simple as that. I'll just check the size. And that looks like it's going to be just big enough. Now, I can either just allow that to air dry, or I'm going to dry it a little bit quicker with a hairdryer, just set on a medium setting, and we'll see how much lighter that colour goes. Okay, that's done, that's dry. You can tell when it's dry because it's warm to the touch. Just brush off a couple of these small marks. Yeah, and that's good enough, because this is just going to sit under the glass. Okay, next stage, let's just double check that's the right size. Yep, that's great. I want to get some double-sided tape on the glass, and this can be a little bit tricky to get the edges unpeeled. So I'll just apply the tape to all four edges. You can go over the edge if you want, because it can all be trimmed down later. simple as that. And then I'm just going to carefully peel up the edges, and that will just leave the double-sided tape there. That's full. I'll just remove that, put the canvas back there. Carefully line it up just to make sure it's toned completely underneath, and then give it a good push just to adhere that to the canvas. Flip it over, just go a bit firmer. And now it's just a simple case of carefully cutting around. The sharper the blade, the better. I could have done with a blade a little bit sharper, but hopefully it's going all the way through. There you go, and that's your glass palette. The beauty of it is, if you actually tone your canvas a different colour, you could even make up another palette, or just peel off the back end and just change it to the colour or the depth of the colour that you actually use. And it's so simple to clean off. The paint, with the oil paints I use, they really adhere to it well, so I can use the palette at a vertical angle, it doesn't run down. And then when I've finished the painting session, I can just give it a quick wipe over, leaving the paints on the edge, and I then cover those with some cling film, and they stay wet for the next day or two. And when the paints go hard, I just use a blade or a razor blade, and I carefully scrape it off, and the palette's back to new. So I hope you've enjoyed this short tutorial on creating a glass palette. See you again soon.